Good evening, viewers. Welcome to another episode of COVIDCASTJA Business. We are at episode 42, and today we're going to be speaking about digital training. This is, in fact, the 5th episode in our Let's Go Digital series. And if you have not caught any of our other Let's Go Digital webinars of this series, and this series is so important for all our MSMEs because we have been walking you through the process of your digital journey. And all of this walkthrough will culminate on March 5th with the Let's Go Digital Conference. We are looking forward to seeing you there, so please go and register right now. Have you received this week's SME memo? If you have not, email us at sme@psoj.org or visit Small Business Portal, because as you would have heard, we are at episode 42, which means that for all of our other 41 episodes and for today's episode, there is a memo that accompanies the series. And this memo is in a form that it's easy for you to follow, for you to keep information for your notes. And very importantly, we provide a list of links to resources that you can use. So looking forward to just sharing with you again this evening on your digital journey, because it's very important to us here at COVIDCASTJA, to the PSOJ, that's the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, that our MSMEs, all our MSMEs start their digital journey, and that by the end of 2021, we will have so many more MSMEs who are well underway. And some of the objectives in your digital journey: reducing your business cost, improving engagement with customers and suppliers, creating greater efficiency and improving workflow, improving product and service offerings, increasing employee skill sets for the future. So we've talked about websites, we've talked about social media, we've talked about e-commerce, we've talked about payment platforms. If this is your first time joining us for this Let's Go Digital series, please remember to go to smallbusinessportal.com and catch up on the episodes. Now, we've had an overwhelming response to our Let's Go Digital series. And one of the big questions that has come up is, what about training? Hi, Natasha Levy, welcome, hello. So many of our MSMEs have been asking us the question. They've been sending in the comments and saying, where do I get digital training? Is digital training available? Some persons are also a little afraid of digital training. They're afraid that it may be things that go over their heads. So today we have a group of professionals who will be helping us along that aspect of our digital journey, and we will be talking about digital training. In this week's memo, we provide so many guidelines to digital training, some very basic steps, and we're going to be talking through these steps. Our first two guests are Dr. Wayde Marr and Ricardo Allen. Now, Dr. Wayde Marr is the co-founder and current president of the Vector Technology Institute, which is a higher education institution registered with the University Council of Jamaica since 1997. He is a veteran. He is also director of Vector Design Limited, a computer systems house providing services in IT systems development and support. Dr. Marr is a graduate of the Great Excelsior High School, and he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in electrical engineering from the Queen's University in Ontario, Canada, an executive MBA from Barry University, and his doctorate in instructional technology and distance education from Nova Southeastern University. He is also current president of the Jamaica Information Technology and Services Alliance, JITSA, and a member of the Council for the Jamaica Computer Society. He serves on a number of government committees in the IT and education sectors. Welcome, Dr. Marr. I'd also like to welcome another guest, Ricardo Allen, who is the president and CEO of One-on-One Educational Services, the Caribbean's largest online education technology company that allows regional institutions, companies, and governments to deliver personalized and cutting-edge learning solutions online and on demand. Over the years, Ricardo has fused his innate passion for mathematics and his love for technology and people to build a solution which enables thousands across the region to take their favorite courses online at their own convenience. One-on-One started out as an innovative business that is dedicated to providing personalized one-on-one teachers in a classroom in March 2015, and he was later launched its award-winning One-on-One online learning platform. Now, Ricardo is a 2010 Rhodes Scholar nominee and was awarded the 2013 U.S. Fulbright Scholarship before gracefully declining to pursue his business interests, and we now get to benefit from his business interest. And he's a graduate of the great University of the West Indies, and this young man serves on several boards. So we actually have two generations of technology training providers, and it's so useful because we have Dr. Marr, who is a veteran, a foundation in providing digital training, and Ricardo Allen, who is a newbie. And we're just going to see how both organizations are providing training, but also getting different perspectives from the different generations and just the learnings over the years. So, you know, we have to start out with, because I know our viewers, and I'm seeing David Silvera, greetings, good to see you. Tony Edwards, bigging up Dr. Marr. Windell, always great to see you. Romeo, good to see you. So we have our viewers on. So can you tell us a little bit about your business? Dr. Marr, let's start with you. Can you give us a little bit more detail of what Vector Tech Institute does?
All right. Thanks for having us here, Rochelle. I think this is really a good series, an excellent series. And hello, Ricardo. We met not too long ago, so I don't know if you can recall. But in terms of Vector Technology Institute has been around for some time, and we started, and we are still in, or we say we specialize in technology, but primarily IT. And when we started, we were doing more in terms of hardware work. But you know, since then we have moved along quite a bit. So we do offer a couple of degrees in terms of academics.
Okay.
But we do have a robust professional programs for professionals who are trying to upskill in particular. And also we have done a lot of work in terms of let's say companies training the staff and so on. And so we do have a bit of customized training. Areas that, of course, that we have been known for, of course, in terms of IT. You know, we come from the whole gambit from, you know, network infrastructure, software engineering, you know, computer graphics, you know, web programming, even fiber optics, and we have ventured into solar energy as well.
Okay.
We in our professional side, we tend to focus a lot on certifications, industrial certifications, and that I think has been one of the features that make our programs a bit unique, because the persons who are actually pursuing their degrees would also have a number of certifications by the time they graduate.
Okay.
So it's almost a 2-for-1 type of thing. So
Okay.
it makes them ready for the working world, and those certifications tend to be internationally recognized as well.
Okay.
Um,
Excellent.
so that in a nutshell, a big nutshell, is
But the services, because one of the things we are seeking to do with this program is also showcase the expertise that we have right here in Jamaica, homegrown expertise, because a lot of times we think that much of the training we need, the infrastructure we need, that everything has to be received from overseas when we have our providers right here.
right.
For those of you just joining us, we just heard from Dr. Marr, president of Vector Tech Institute, as he just told us some of the services that are offered by Vector Tech. And now Ricardo Allen, who is CEO of One-on-One Education Services, is going to be telling us about his company and the services you offer. So Ricardo, you got into the business, normally they say the young people just into the software design and the app design. Tell us about One-on-One Education Services.
Rochelle, first of all, thanks for having me. Dr. Marr, pleased to see you again, right? I need to come see you. No, but online education, Rochelle, one-on-one started out really as a concept of me, a university student, going around Kingston and teaching students from far and wide. We started out by teaching math. Over the first 3 years, 98% of our students got grade 1s or 2s in maths, against a national average of 46% at the time passing math, right? So,
Yeah.
so we were onto something. And the question was, what were we doing that was so different than what is being done nationally or in some cases regionally? And we looked at the fact that the learning was incredibly personal. It was you and a teacher learning. When you miss a step, the teacher would help you, that sort of thing, and kind of bring you back on your way. And so we grew the business from 5 students to 1,500 students in about 3 years, Rochelle. And the only option looking at that growth to actually expand our services would have been to go online. So online was a strategy for us to almost expand the business beyond its current boundaries. So we were having physical class. So that was the end of physical class, right? Now, one of the major challenges we had in terms of moving from face-to-face to online was, how do we maintain that personalized learning environment that we found to be so effective? And here's the reality of Rochelle, right? If you are building a house, okay, and you have, let's say, time as being invariable. So no matter what happens at the end of this week, you must finish the first floor. And so the week comes, you're probably 80% completed, but you want to move on to the second floor. Time was, set. You move to the second floor, same thing, 60% completed, you keep building and building. Over time, that building is going to come crumbling down. That's what the education system is, right? We're progressing students without necessary tracking of skills. And that's the formula that we found to go online. Tracking the skills, comparing that against where you should be, give you gap testing so that we create what we call personalized learning paths. And this formula, Rochelle, we've taken from the high school system that has been very successful, and we're now bringing it into corporate Jamaica. So we are now working with companies one-on-one in not only building out their courseware for online. So those companies with their PDF documents, their PowerPoints, and so on, we're building out and taking that content, transforming it into bite-sized learning pieces now, 6 minutes or less. Anything more, you lose the modern day learner. And not only are we doing that, Rochelle, we're taking the core skills and competencies of these organizations and mapping them to courses. So when an employee joins an organization, they have a strict path to success. And not only do they have the path, they have the courses that they can take along the way to get them to where they need to go. Organizations are using this technology as well, because what they're doing now is assessing all the skills that are deficient in their organization and seeing what training certification are needed from like a Dr. Marr and so on to actually help to upskill those members. So it's quite revolutionary. And the future of online learning, obviously pushed to the brink by COVID, could never be brighter. And I'm very excited.
Yeah, well, this is very exciting. So, Dr. Marr, back to you. Ricardo has just mentioned some very important variables with online learning, and the fact too that COVID has pushed us into an entire new era of online learning. Now, or for our MSMEs who are watching the program, many persons have just indicated just a bit, one, a fear of learning the technology and leveraging the technology, and two, they are concerned about time and cost constraints in leveraging the digital training. Now, just as a starting point, what are some of the key points that you would want our MSMEs to consider when they're feeling afraid to leverage technology? What are some of the key variables for why this is important? Not just being able to turn on the computer, but taking it that step further to get training.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things that really served us well, and you know, you mentioned that we had sort of been in the service area, and even while we were in the service area, we were doing training as for clients who were installing, you know, accounting packages and you know, other you know, general applications and so on. And one of the things that I found, even from a consultancy point of view, and then we have extended that, is the fact that one, we have to, well, persons have to see relevance. Why am I learning this? And one of the things that as a trainer, you have to keep painting that relevance, and show it in terms of how does this thing help my business, and that gives the motivation. So you have the relevance, the motivation of why would you want to do this. Then the third thing, you know, many times people trying to learn tech is afraid of tech, right? And you know, when you are talking to a non-tech person, the fear is more internal rather than real. But the trainer can make it worse, right? So so if the trainer is not communicating in the way that the person understands, and therefore when depending on who you're teaching, obviously if you're teaching a non-tech person, then you need to speak non-tech, you know, and in many instances, if not all instances, most things can be broken down in a fairly simple way.
Yes.
And the other thing I would say too, especially if you're talking to business owners and so on, there are a number of things that can cause intimidation, you know, and one of them, I'll tell you, I mean, because even I felt intimidated at certain times. I don't like to be learning with my employees, you know, because if I am failing, then I'm exposing myself, I believe. And so sometimes things like what Ricardo is doing in terms of doing things on a personal level, you find that a lot of the resistance comes down. So the person has to feel fairly comfortable. They need to feel comfortable with the person who is teaching. And just to even just get over that hurdle of learning, you know. So that, you know, so those are some of the things that I have found that works and works well. Obviously, these things over time will build trust between you and the person, knowing that the trainer, it sounds like they know my business, they understand my concerns, and they are vested in my success. So those are some of the things. Those are some of the things I can leave with you.
Yes. Thank you for that, Dr. Marr. Ricardo, Dr. Marr mentioned quite a few things a while ago. Relevance of the training, the trust, the understanding of how this is going to help my business. Now, as a trainer with one-on-one, one of the things I want you to just tell us about is when you're building out, for example, just a basic technology training education program, what courses are some of the basic courses and in that order that it is important? So our MSMEs can actually even start thinking, do I have some of these particular areas covered? What are some of the key areas that will get you from zero to somewhere in the
So
digital training?
no, absolutely. So let's bring it down a notch, right? And let's talk
Mhm.
about grassroots training. And I want to talk about training for the fisher folk, the agriculture man, just about everybody who is watching now, right? When we talk about a business and we look to a business, one of the most basic things that we can teach people right now is obviously financial literacy, right?
Yes.
Understanding those numbers that are coming in, my cash that I'm collecting, and the money that I'm spending. So I do believe that that is one course. Another course that we should look at is how do we essentially get the business out, meaning get people to know about the business, which is marketing, right? So I would say
Mhm.
marketing, financial literacy, two very important course that are available. Another course that I think for small businesses, and we should really talk about, Rochelle, is how do they access capital, right? And this is important because a lot of small businesses, they are making money, right? It may not be formalized like you and I business, but they are making money. And they need to access more capital to expand their business. And they simply don't know how. And they end up making very bad financial decisions. So I would say courses in marketing, finance is definitely important. I do also believe that in some respects we do have a customer service problem in some industries in Jamaica. And so I would definitely look at that. Soft skills, right? Those are very important in my opinion. Now, if you're a small business looking to expand now and to take advantage of some of the other opportunities that are there, then you start to think about how do I start selling online? Meaning, how do I get my goods to people in a better way? The other day, I put out something on Twitter, Rochelle, asking persons who are selling fruits to deliver fruits to my home, right? I got no less than 70 persons responding, and two of which are delivering fruits to my home now, and I pay digitally. How can we get more people to actually offer their business and services digitally? Because that's the way of the future. Many people are scared now. I have a father-in-law who resists going online to make transactions and so on. So we have to bring the education to them. And one of the best way to do that, Rochelle, is to make it micro. They can't feel like they're taking any time off from their business. They won't do it. So it has to be sufficiently bite-sized in small pieces. And there has to be some sort of benefit of doing it to them, as Dr. Marr said, right? And that benefit must be tangible. They don't care too much about the certification if the certification is not giving them something tangible. But new business probably, more markets, that sort of thing. So we have to think about those. But those are some basic courses that I think that small businesses need to look at right now.
So should small businesses, what about basic technology? Is it still important for small businesses to know how to use their Microsoft Word and PowerPoint and Excel? Are those things of the past, or are those important technology, software, etc., that small businesses should ensure that they are well trained on?
No, absolutely. I think they are, Rochelle. I think Excel and Microsoft, those are great, right? But I can tell you right now that wholesale person is not going to stop and use Excel to calculate when selling, right? So we have to also be practical and we have to meet them where they are. And
Uh,
so I do believe that we need to kind of ease them into it, right? Again, showing them the value of doing this. Frankly speaking, I don't think a wholesale needs to know how to use Microsoft Excel. What I think they need to know how to do is expanding their distribution channels by getting their goods to people faster in my opinion, right? But I do believe that these courses are important as you get up the value chain, right? So as you become larger and larger as a business, you now need to create your financial records now. That's where
Yeah.
you use Excel. So that when the bank asks you for a loan or you want a loan from the bank, you can just print that Excel document and show it to the bank to say, here are my numbers, give me that loan. So that's how I think we introduced it to say, look, in order for you to get a loan, you need to know how to model your finances, right? You need to know how to write down your income, your expenses, that sort of thing. So I think that could be a way that we kind of introduce it, but in a very bite-sized fashion, though, Russell. It can't be more than 6 minutes.
And so before we move on, I just want to acknowledge some of the comments and questions of our viewers. I noted that KJ Watt mentioned and Ingrid mentioned Udemy. Are you familiar with Udemy?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Udemy is definitely a very good tool that persons can use to get trained. But one of the things that Udemy lacks, Rochelle, and we are trying to solve locally with guys like Dr. Mars and the UCCs of the world and so on. Jamaica is not short on content, Rochelle. The content
Yeah.
is not digitalized. So Udemy has a whole host of courses for the American market, meaning how to access a loan, how to do this, how to do that. We now need to come together with the PSOJ and so on, the banks, to create content, make it available online for people to access, to see how they can access these resources. So Udemy is one resource, but we need our resource with our local content for our people that they can use to advance themselves. And those are the problems one-on-one is solving right now.
So Dr. Marr,
Mhm.
just bringing you into some of these questions here. I see Natasha Levy asked, is digital training less effective than face-to-face training?
No. You mean online? You mean learning online?
Learning online.
Um, no, they definitely not. And just from just my CV, you would recognize that I am a big proponent of online,
Mm-hmm.
and actually I taught my first online class in 1999, and it was in web development. Now you would think that, boy, web development, or you learn that online, but it the online, I think learning has gotten a bad break, because one of the things that we have to ensure is that the design of the class must be well designed, and must
Yeah.
be based upon the learning principles, just as how you design your face-to-face class based upon learning principles. You now have the online class that you do use learning principles. It can't be the same, because obviously there are two different spaces, but you use the tools that can, let's call it equivalents, in terms of let's say engagement. For example, you engage students in a face-to-face class in a certain way. When you do it online, it's a totally different way. All right.
Yeah.
So not only is the design important, but also the instructor, because a lot of the teachers, because of COVID, jumped into online teaching without being prepared, and recognizing that you do need to be prepared for it. Also, just add to it, a lot of our students were not prepared for online learning, and so the expectations of using online, they went into the expectation just as if it were a physical classroom, and that all of that together caused the online learning to get a bad reputation.
Yeah.
But there are some significant benefits and differences for online versus face to face. And
Yeah.
just for one, in online in a classroom, I can have a student who sit in the back of the room, have no idea what's going on, not paying attention, probably playing on the phone, but they can't do that in online learning. In online learning, they have to produce. There are activities they need to be involved in, and in some of the learning management systems or platforms, you can trace every single thing that the person does.
Yeah.
So they can't tell you that they did this or they watched that or they attended this, because the log will tell you, no, you did not. Right? So
Glad you made that point, Dr. Marr, because one of the next questions, and let me just bring Ricardo in now too on that. As our viewers are watching and they are trying to determine for themselves, do I do some digital training? Nowadays, digital training means so many different things. Dr. Marr, I may say I don't want anybody tracing me. I just want to learn how to do an Excel in my own sweet time. Can I just go on YouTube and learn it? Because I don't want anything that is giving me a grade or anything. I just want to learn on my own time. So right now, when we are teaching non-tech professionals and we're thinking of small entrepreneurs who are maybe on their own or only have 2 or 3 employees, what are some of the tips that you give for persons who are now entering into this digital training, whether they want certification or not? What are some of the important things to ensure that they will actually use the training? Ricardo, you mentioned earlier, video shouldn't be more than 6 minutes. Is there some algorithm that works that out?
Well, look, here's the reality of it, right? The records show and the research shows, Rochelle, that any video that the learner is watching, if you look at social media, for example, the videos are usually shorter. And the reason for that is because the attention span is so small and so slim. Because there's content online, you're jumping from content to content, right? But in learning, what we've observed from a study we did with Harvard last year, actually in 2019, is that when you talk about lectures and learning content, you're talking about an average of 6 to 9 minutes. What we saw was that the learners were dropping off after 6 minutes, and it kind of peaked at about 7 minutes thereabout, right? And that was very useful for us, certainly, because we thought that a 15-minute video would have been sufficiently engaging. So that was one. But the next one is a lean forward learning strategy. And what a lean forward learning strategy is you're not just watching a video, okay? You're not just watching a video to receive information, but we have now managed to create videos that's one-on-one for companies, right? Where something like anti-money laundering course, we're allowing you to watch the video and interact with the video. So we may give you a scenario in the video and you must interact with the video to continue the course. So what that does in essence is that it causes you to come on a journey and you don't sit back and get lost in the lesson, right? So that's number 2 in terms of a tip, right? So make it short, encourage a lean forward approach where you make the videos interactive. If you're not sure about that, call one-on-one. We can make your videos interactive where persons are interacting with the videos. They're doing quizzes, they're going in scenarios, that sort of thing. And then third, adopting a learning strategy, kind of like the second point that I made, which encourages persons to essentially partake in the learning. So instead of just teaching someone what lottery scamming is, for example, what we've done with a lot of our financial services clients is we create scenarios. A man walks into a bank and he looks a certain way, dresses a certain way, that sort of thing. What do you do next? Based on your responses, we bring you down a path in that lesson, right? So that's what we call scenario-based learning. So there's several kind of ways that we have managed to do this, but the 3 that I would suggest is just to keep those videos short, encourage interaction with the video, and encourage like learning strategies such as the brand scenarios and those other things. But perhaps the most important thing you should do, Rochelle, as a business looking to introduce learning, is start small, okay? Start small and have measurable outcomes, right? Look for your most important need. That may be training the tellers. For our MSME, it may be training your customer service reps, right? It may be sales training, whatever it is. Start small, start them on the system, allow them to become comfortable with it, right? And once they are fully engrossed in it, they will love it and they will want more and more and more. And then you're going to have to come to places like One-on-One and Vector and say, boy, I want more courses to give to my employees. But you start small, measure it, and then optimize your learning strategy.
Okay, thank you for that. Dr. Marr, anything you would add on this point?
Yeah, I mean, you know what Ricardo said, I mean, it's kind of ground in research nowadays, and it's very important. You know, of course, you know, depending on the type of course, of course, it might not be as easy to do some of the things that he mentioned, but in general, though, I think he has hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
The thing about it too, though, is that we ought to look around and look at what's happening in the world, right? We don't live on an island anymore, and it's important that we recognize that nobody's going to wait for us in terms of technology. Technology has probably gone past us, and we are playing almost catch up, which is almost an impossible thing to do. But it's important that we recognize that, especially if you're starting a business, you have to keep innovating, right? You have to be looking at what others are doing, and try and figure out how you can also do something in terms of innovating your business as well. All right.
Yeah. And I like that point, Dr. Marr, because I'm actually going to ask you to, I'm going to just mention a couple of the other questions that are asked. Because you've been saying to a very important point that you can't just sit in your little space. You have to be having this wider world view. And sometimes even as we're thinking about training, we get very myopic in what we actually need to be looking at. So in terms of, I just want to mention a poll that we conducted. The poll is, have you ever taken an online course to improve your professional skills? 60% of our viewers said yes, and 40% said no. So that's actually encouraging to see 60%.
We're encouraged.
Yeah, and we would expect too that with so much more available online, and certainly with you two gentlemen on and people recognizing what's available locally, we'll see even more. And I see KJ Watt had asked a question, how do I monetize my website? So that is some of the kind of training, because I expected that we would see this kind of question. So KJ Watt, we also had done one of our series on website, utilizing your website. And we encourage you to go back to, because this is also a training program, to go back to the SME memo, and it would be of 2 weeks ago. And there are guidelines in there on monetizing your website. So thank you very much for that question. Now, in terms of some of the recommended videos and tutorials, because your companies offer training to various companies. And if our viewers want to understand, what is some of just the basic, where do I start on this digital training journey? Do I just pick a topic? How do I monetize my website? Where do I start, Ricardo? Because both of you look like bright already. Middle try, cut and go through. Where do I begin?
You know, yesterday I started a video on deep learning, on machine learning, right? Meaning how to train machines to be intelligent, in essence, right? And the reason I was interested in it, because I have a 3-year-old daughter, but it wasn't one course, Rachel. It was a series of courses that I needed to have taken. The point is, start with basics, something you're interested in, okay? And you don't want to start with one isolated course, right? Because, you know, usually if you make it sufficiently bite-sized, you know, you will pretty much get stuck in a very narrow-minded way, right? So you want to look at a curriculum view, right? So I want to learn about digital marketing. Now that's going to touch on several points and several sub courses. So you may have a course on search engine optimization. You may have a course on online branding. You may have another course on some other aspect. But don't focus on at this course level, right? Focus at a curriculum level. But if you do want to learn something specific, search for it and start there. So the easiest thing for me to say is to search there. But for companies who are watching this series and they believe that they have a problem perhaps in their organization, and we get these calls every day, Rochelle. Companies are calling us saying, boy, Ricardo, we have problem X. We believe that we can improve in Y, that sort of thing. Well, what we do is we ask you to start at what do you want to improve in, and we assess team members to see what their skills are versus what the employer wants. And based on that, we set up what's called an automated learning path, which essentially gives each team member their personal learning path to attain that skill. Because not everybody is at the same place in an organization, Rochelle. And I may get bored if you're giving me a course that I've already done. You follow? Or I may just not be interested. And so that's what we mean by the personalized learning. And the final point on it is that no more than ever, the workplace is so diverse, it's not funny, right? You have the boomers who are heading into the 60s now, and then you have the millennials who are getting into the manager's position, that sort of thing, and then you have the Gen Z coming right behind them. And what's happening, Rochelle, in our opinion, is that you have 3 different generations in the workplace who learn differently, okay? And so what you have to do is to ensure that the learning is personalized for just about everyone. And that's a starting place. Look at what your interests are, what your needs are, and start small. And it doesn't have to be much.
Yeah, Dr. Marr, I see you nodding. And I want to just add a little twist to that question. I say I'm a small business, a micro business. It's just me alone. I have my computer, I have my printer, and I'm watching this program and I'm saying to myself, I know I should really be doing some training. I've been meaning to. Where would you suggest that I begin? Ricardo says that we have to remember that the different generations learn differently. Notwithstanding the different learnings, just as a basic micro business owner, where do I start?
Yeah, to me that there are some very basics, and matter of fact, there are some basic things that we should be teaching at in the prep school and the primary school and so on. Things that we have sort of left for tertiary institutions to do, right? I mean, in terms of general education, certain things in IT are supposed to be part of your generation education portfolio now, because you can't get away from working with computers and the basic things of how you type a letter, right? I mean, we take that for granted that everybody knows how to use a word processor, but a lot of people don't, right? How to send your email, how to make your bank returns, or the returns to the government, and so on. Because we are now being, and I don't want to use the word force, but we are encouraged that everything goes digital. So you can't even do business by any kind of paper-based thing anymore. So, So the important thing, and Ricardo had mentioned it, is that you have to look at what your business need of you, right? Just going to look for applications and just doing applications just so doesn't work. You need to know what you want to do, and that in itself, as I'd mentioned before, provides the motivation for you to even get over some of the challenges that you would have had, right? Because there's a purpose for me doing this, and that's important. So obviously, with there are some basics things, you have to write a letter. You probably nowadays you have to send at least an email. And receive emails, because you decide you don't want to send one, don't mean that somebody don't want to send you one, and so on. One of the things I'd also like to mention is sometimes we don't know what we don't know, right? And when you are running a business, you need to be doing some research and look at what is going on around you, right? And it will almost give you a pathway to where you need to be going, and hence the type of skills that you need. All right, but I don't believe in just taking course in a vacuum, right? There must be a purpose.
Yeah,
right?
and in some, thank you, Dr. Marr. That's some excellent points that you've made. I mean, we do need to be paying attention. So sometimes the training that we need is actually keeping our eyes open to what is happening in the rest of the world.
Right.
What are some of the new trends in our business? We need to be ensuring that we're really looking at the relevance of the training. And we can't be afraid to go back to the basics.
Right.
How do you what formulating your emails when you're doing your proposals, etc. Ensuring that you even know how to use spell check, because it does matter when people get information from you that it's proper grammar. So sometimes we're thinking of the very major things and some basic foundation things that we need to get off the ground. Robert,
Exactly.
thank you for that comment. Him said, well said, Dr. Marr. Thank you for that comment, Dr. Marr. So as we're wrapping up, Ricardo, Dr. Marr put it in a nice little package there. What would you like to add? Just any parting words to our MSMEs in terms of advice on this digital journey?
No, absolutely. I think one of the biggest, asset of a small business, certainly when I just started out, was the clients, right? And maintaining proper records of the clients, because what tends to happen over time is that you have a one-off sale, and we see it like just a one-off sale. But if we start thinking about creating long-lasting relationships with clients, then you open a whole set of doors, really, for not only getting more business from your existing clients, but basically to use them to get business from elsewhere. And one of the things I'd love for small businesses to at least invest in or to look into is what we call a client relationship management system, which is a CRM, right? And you just start small. It can be just keeping a record of all your clients, their names, their information, that sort of thing. Keep it safe because you don't want to use it or misuse it, that sort of thing. But if you have information on your clients, their buying patterns, that sort of thing, then you can serve them better in some respects. And then you can obviously get more out of them and get more referrals from them, right? The key for a small business, Rochelle, is cash flow management. I think it's important. And I think many small businesses need to look at managing their cash better, budgeting better, and seeing best ways of doing that, right? So those are two kind of big ticket items. And I guess the final one before I go is, if we're going online and all of these companies are going online, then we need to start looking on online data protection, right? How do I protect myself online and protect my clients online, that sort of thing. So those are three key things that I think you need to focus on if you're a small business on this right now, right? So, I think those are enough. This the question you asked.
And so Ricardo just went through, and Ricardo, I know you've been hammering this customer relationship management and ensuring that you are always doing some kind of training with your customer service, your data protection. And, some of us say data protection, bar humbug, that don't have nothing to do with me, but it affects every business. And very importantly, that we go back to the basics and we are ensuring that we are getting the relevant training for our cash management. So as we're even thinking about this digital journey, sometimes again, we need to go back to the basics. How do we keep this business running and afloat? How do we manage this business? Dr. Smith says, very generous tips, thank you. Yvonne Marr says, is there a QuickBooks agent in Jamaica? We will get the relevant information and pass it on. Natasha Levy is quite excited. She says, can courses be developed specifically for my company? So at this juncture, in response to this question, Dr. Marr, let's start with you. Can you please let our viewers know where they can find Vector Tech Institute, where they can find you? And Ricardo, we'll get your information right after. Dr. Marr, where can they find you?
Okay, our main office is at 35A Eastwood Park Road. And our you can find us on the web, www.vti.edu.jm. And you can get me there, or you can even get me if you want to send me an email, wmarr@adm, the short for administration, adm.vti.edu.jm.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Marr. So we'll post it in the comments so that you can get the information. Ricardo, where can our viewers find you?
No, absolutely. If you want your courses developed, if you want to buy off-the-shelf courses, we have 10,000 off-the-shelf courses available. You can come online and find us at oneonone-LMS, learningmadesimple.com. So that's oneonone-LMS.com. And you could just drop us a quick note. You can request a quote there as well. Or you can call us at 613-9198. I tell you something, Rochelle, we are moving out of the physical space. We've not been in our office for the past 12 months, coming on to 12 months now. And so we're going to go fully virtual, and wish us luck.
Yes, we're looking forward to that. And gentlemen, thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of our program. As was mentioned, great tips, well said. And we're looking forward to having you again on our program. So if you're just joining us, we had a great conversation, some great learnings from Dr. Wayde Marr, President, Vector Tech Institute, and Ricardo Allen, CEO, One-on-One Edge Services. Thank you very much. And to the question, that's why you have to ask your questions here, is there a QuickBooks agent in Jamaica? I see Robert M. Richards has said, I am a QuickBook agent. So Robert, you can put your information in the commentary. So you see, you cannot miss an episode of COVIDCASTJA because the information is right on hand. So Robert, if you can share that information. And I'm just, gentlemen, as Tony said, it was a great session. Sandra says, thank you very much. Natasha says, great session. And the session is not over because we are now going to be joined by one of our COVIDCAST team members, a young lady, Alexi Lynn Shue. So Alexi, a part of our PSOJ Access to Finance project, as well as COVIDCAST, is we have a team of amazing young people who are constantly teaching us and challenging us on a daily basis. And Alexi is one of those individuals. She's a highly analytical, creative thinker and a magic maker, in that she is one of the most amazing graphic artists. These young people are just a whole cadre of skill sets scraped up into one person. She's currently enrolled as an integrated marketing communications major at Carrimack UWI, and her detailed thinking allows her to thrive as an integral part of the research team of COVIDCAST and of the PSOJ, where she dissects complex material to produce simplified content that is understandable by the greater populace. So many of our SME memos that you are reading, the graphics that we create, the information we put together in bite-sized pieces is produced by team members such as Alexi. So with many years of developing her creative passions into purposeful work, she took the leap in 2020 to launch her own small business, Ideal Made, a bespoke creative design studio for passionate business creatives and entrepreneurs. She also plays key roles in marketing and operations for Ready to Emerge Limited and MD Link Limited. Alexi enjoys collaborating with both emerging and established brands, and she has used her analytical skills and research skills to this evening prepare some great information for your MSMEs on where you can find some digital training. Alexi Lynn Shue, welcome.
Hi, Rosh. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here.
And we are so happy to have you. And in terms of we've been talking about digital training, and I know you've done quite a bit of background work in not only just researching what training is available, but actually going through and reviewing a lot of training videos so that this week you are able to provide course links and descriptions to top 20 free technology training videos and links to other training material. Now, just as a starting point, Alexi, in going through all of these various videos and training material, what have you found to be some of the most effective means of the digital training just based on what you have been watching?
Okay, so to start with the internet, there's so many sources that you can find digital training, and then most of them are free. So starting with YouTube, if you want to start small, especially because we know technology is really intimidating to a lot of people, start small, as Ricardo said, and start free. So you can find a lot of the courses to help you in adapting to digital media and digital technology just by using YouTube. So you definitely can use YouTube to search what are the pain points or what are the things that you want to learn about technology for your business. Um, and then if you start small, you watch these videos. If it's something that you become really interested in and it becomes something that you can see how it can benefit your business, you can always take a step further by enrolling on other online platforms such as Udemy, EDX, Coursera. And these will allow you to, some of them are free, some of them are paid. So you do like a subscription. You can also share the login or have your whole team use the platform so that you all benefit from the training. But for this episode, we have provided you with 20 free videos on YouTube. So I have went through the top 20 training videos that I think can get anybody started in terms of introducing technology at the most basic to the most advanced level, and then introducing it to your employees. You may have only one employee, or you may have 10, you may have 20, but getting the whole team involved in the whole technology adoption process and digital transformation process. So
Okay.
I definitely recommend starting with YouTube, seeing what's there available to you free first.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, because let me tell you, when you go tell me now, say all of these top 20 free videos, I know our viewers are saying to themselves, talk to me, Alexi. What are
And
some of these
that's
free
20,
videos?
and there's a million more online. And it's all free because a lot of people have gone through what you're now going through in terms of you're a bit intimidated by technology, or you really just don't know where to start. They've took the lead, they've learned, they've probably built it themselves, designed it themselves, and have created the content to guide you step by step on how to learn how to use them.
Okay.
So what we did, when you download the memo for this week's episode, you would have seen the top 20. And in that top 20, we included courses starting beyond just starting a bit lower than the tools, but even just practices with technology. So things like training your team to back up their data often so they don't lose it. Because, right, so you're working so hard and you're not remembering to back up your data. So that's even training them on the different ways that they can be backing up their data. And
Mm-hmm.
also some things like antivirus, whether it is that you want to download a free antivirus tool or a paid one. I know Microsoft also now comes with a Defender security system. So that comes with most of the newer Windows laptops,
Yes.
where you don't even have to download antivirus. So it's starting very from the basic of the base infrastructure and
Mm-hmm.
training them on just the data that you're using within your business. And then we have now tools, basic tools. So everybody knows Microsoft Word. So there's a very comprehensive course on YouTube. And they have many, but this one is about an hour or two long. You don't have to be intimidated by how long it is. Take it step by step. Maybe watch half an hour a day, an hour a day, whatever your schedule can accommodate. But it shows you what. So if you, we recommend that any MSME uses G Suite or Microsoft 365 for their daily word processing, Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets. So they have courses that show you
Okay.
what all of them do, how they can benefit you, and then tips and tricks on how to use them effectively and make the most of them, because some of them you're paying money for. So you really want to train yourself and your team to make sure everybody knows how to use it and knows how to make the most of the tools.
Okay.
Um, a step beyond the productivity tools such as the Microsoft 365 suite or the G Suite, we also included courses on how to use QuickBooks. So somebody recently asked about QuickBooks. So there's actually, I included a whole playlist where they've created very short videos on the key features of QuickBooks and how to use them. Um, and then productivity tools like project management. So there's apps like Asana or ClickUp. And then these, if you have a team now, that helps you to more organize and delegate tasks and better help you to follow up. So introducing technology in your business can really help you to be more productive and be more effective. So
Yeah.
we've included videos to go through step by step how to use the platform. So they have screen shares where somebody walks through the actual screen and then can see how to use the platforms.
Yeah. No,
Beyond
and
that, now there's marketing. So
yeah.
marketing tools such as email marketing or learning how to use WhatsApp business or even Facebook, how to create Facebook ads. So we've created a very comprehensive list of how to use technology in the different aspects of your life, your business, day-to-day business.
So Alexi, because for the viewers who are just joining us and they're saying to themselves, what does Alexi mean with all of these links? So what Alexi has
Mm-hmm.
done, she has scoured the internet for top 20 videos, training videos that are essential, must see, must watch videos for our MSMEs. From the very basic to as the business gets a little bit more complex, working on your website, productivity tools, etc. And what we've done is it has been put together for you in this week's memo. So it's called Training in Technology, Top 20 Free Technology Training Videos that you can easily just go and click on the links and you can start your digital free training journey. So some people are, when we were talking earlier, some people are saying, oh my goodness, where do I begin? I don't even know where to start. What we've done is we have created that starter list for you. So if you have not yet signed up for or memo this week, it's sme@psoj.org. Please, let's go and get the memos right now. Hi, Robert. Robert says, Alexi, where are these playlists that you have created? They're in this week's memo, Robert. Tashika, I see your email, please. Yes, so that you can have the link. So can you imagine all of these various trainings Alexi just mentioned are put together for you. So we are pushing you along. So we're not even saying go look for it yourself. Alexi has looked for it for you. Dr. Smith says, brilliant. Thank you, Alexi PSOJ. Great initiative. Now, Alexi, in going through the various videos,
Mm-hmm.
just, because one of the things you said, as you were going through, is you were thinking about how various people learn. And you were mentioning just, that there's screen shares, that not to be intimidated by the length of a video, take it in bite-sized pieces. Now, after creating and putting together this amazing list, what other tips would you give to our viewers as they're going on this digital journey and they're going through the playlist?
Okay, so some of the videos are short, under 15 minutes, but then there's some which probably the creators did a webinar. So it would have been live before and they uploaded the replay. So they're probably a whole day's worth of content.
Yes.
What I'd say is definitely allocate some time, because it is training and it's like you're taking a course. It is like you're at school. So you can allocate time within your day, whether it's after work or in the morning if you're an early riser, and select 30 minutes or an hour, whatever time works for you, and dedicate that time to learning. Definitely take notes and go back. Some of them probably maybe it's not so clear to you, definitely, or they'll bring terms that maybe you weren't familiar with before. Just don't
Yes.
be afraid to pause. That's the great thing about online training and digital training, is that it's online. You can pause, you can go back. So take your notes and then don't be afraid to Google something that might come up that you weren't afraid you didn't know of.
Mhm.
I'd say definitely do that. Um, and then share them with your team, and
Yes.
then make it, maybe you can have, whether it is that you have team meetings, everyone is supposed to watch a video and then everybody discusses it, because maybe you learn better from your team member than learning from the video.
Yes.
And just getting different points of view of how that person would use it, and just making it a whole team training, if
Mhm.
you do have a team. I'd also say, um, if it's a screen share, so they will actually show it on the screen. Maybe if you already have sign up for the platform. So say it's a tool that is online, so it's QuickBooks. Sign up for the free trial and open it up yourself and go through it. And as the person speaks, so that you are able to practice.
Ah,
Um, or maybe it is that the video that was recorded was on an older version. Try and also make sure that whatever training videos you're watching is up to date with the version you have, so that you're not really looking too confused or anything like that.
okay.
But I definitely think that it can be intimidating, just to be hearing about all of these technology terms. But I can say that a lot of these people who we've included in the list, they're professional online trainers, and they know that they need to say it in a very simplified way for people, because these are basic. So it's a lot of the videos are for beginner's guide, and so they've definitely put it at a basic level for everyone to understand.
Yes. Well, Alexi, those were some excellent tips. And I particularly like the idea that this can in fact be a nice team engagement. It can be
Mm,
something that you can do it as a Zoom session with your team, where the team watches the video together, or you divvy up the videos and somebody watches and comes back and teaches, so that we're getting this, we're hearing it in our own language. And also
right.
very importantly, that if you're going through a training that has a screen share, that you can go through and actually do the things yourself, download and do the things yourself, go through the QuickBooks tool, so that you are learning while doing.
Yeah.
Alexi, one of the things that as you were watching the videos, what did you find was, just based on how videos come across, and so what would you recommend as the optimal time of day for persons to do this kind of online training? And if
Mhm.
they were to set aside time, would you can you give any kind of guidelines of how much time people should just set aside, whether on a weekly or a daily basis, to go through some of these videos?
Well, it definitely depends on your availability. And then also I would suggest partnering the content with other content. So watch the videos, but then do additional research, whether it is that you read an article about the platform, or a lot of these websites the platforms have blogs themselves. So also partner it with the written material that can support you, because different people learn differently. Sometimes I myself can't sit through a whole 2-hour video, but I'm quicker to read. So it depends on how you learn best. And then, as Ricardo was saying, some people are able to digest shorter videos way better than longer videos. So I definitely think that treat it like you're in a classroom. Of course, a session is normally like an hour or two. If you have an hour or two, that would be good. Maybe it's half an hour of watching the video and then half an hour of trying to use the tool itself, applying it yourself, and then, yeah.
Thank you, Alexi. Alexi, I know that many of our viewers are asking, how do we find Alexi? How do we find Ideal Made? Can you please let our viewers know how they can find you online and how they can find Ideal Made?
Okay, so Ideal Made is at Ideal Made on Instagram. So it's IDYLLMADE, or my website is idlemade.com. Or if you have any questions about the videos or anything, you can always email me at alexilinshue@gmail.com.
Yes. So for those viewers who are just joining us, Alexi was just taking us through the top 20 free technology training videos that are provided. All of those links are provided in this week's weekly memo. So email us at sme@psoj.org. Marvin Brown saw your comment and we'll get in touch with you. Thank you very much. Sandra Palmer, what is the best free app that can be used to automatically create passwords to protect files being shared? We'll get that information for you, Sandra, and we will share. And Lisanne Hilton, thank you for your commentary. Great info. Thanks, Alexi. So we want to thank Alexi for all the work she's done in putting together the top 20 training videos to start you on your free digital training journey. Today we were joined by Alexi Linshue, a research analyst with the PSOJ Access to Finance panel and one of our key resource members for COVIDCASTJA, as well as Dr. Wayde Marr, President and co-founder of Vector Technology Institute, and Ricardo Allen, President and CEO of One-on-One Educational Services Limited. And our experts spoke to us about starting your digital training journey. We heard very important points such as start where you are, start somewhere, understand the relevance to your business, ensure you're taking into consideration what is going on, so read widely. Also, ensure that you're paying attention to some basics such as data protection, ensuring that your cash and finance management, understanding the training necessary for those areas. You are still, whether you are online or not, COVID or not, customer relationship management is critical. We encourage you to reach out to our experts. Remember, we are continuing our weekly Let's Go Digital webinars as we approach our Let's Go Digital conference. David Silvera just mentioned that Alexi's website is graphically beautiful. So please, Dr. Smith is way ahead. She says viewers can start their learning journey by binge watching the COVIDcast videos. Lots of rich info. Thank you very, very, very much. So for those of you who are just joining us, this is your first episode and you're saying to yourself, there have been 41 episodes that I have missed. Don't worry. you can binge watch them all. They are available on smallbusinessportal.com. Additionally, on our Facebook page at PSOJ Financial Access JA. And please go on, like, share, comment. Do not keep this information to yourself, because we are all coming out on the other side of COVID as successful MSMEs with a lot of learning. Ensure you also set your notification on that Facebook page so that you don't even have to remind yourself. You will hear a big bing, bing, bing. It's time for COVIDCASTJA. So we look forward to having you join us next week for another episode of COVIDCASTJA. Remember, if you have not received the memo for this week, because this is very critical, we have digital training information. Email us at sme@psoj.org. So, see you again next week as we continue on our Let's Go Digital journey. Next week, 7:30 p.m. for another episode of COVIDCASTJA. What good? See you next week. So you have a great idea to start a business, but you don't know where to start. We completely understand. You have a lot of questions and almost no answers. Smallbusinessportal.com is here to help. At smallbusinessportal.com, you gain access to information on loans, grants, and investment opportunities from verified financial institutions. Guess what you also get? Useful business tips, access to training. All these services combine to make your business idea into a reality. Start your journey today at smallbusinessportal.com.